parenteral nutrition. So parenteral nutrition comes as a sole's form of nutritional support whenever you are not able to initiate your enteral nutrition, or you think like patient is not tolerating enteral nutrition, there is some intolerance which is happening, or you want to, you are not able to achieve your adequate nutritional requirements with your enteral feeding. So it can be as a total parenteral nutrition when your GI tract is out of function, or it can be as a supplemental form of nutrition to balance your enteral feeding to meet your particular nutritional requirements. So advantages of parenteral nutrition: definitely life saving for premature infants or people with impaired GI tract or unfunctional GI tract. It helps in healing of the intestines in post-surgical state and severe illness. It helps you overcome your catabolic state. It helps you overcome your hyperinflammatory state, attenuate the metabolic response, and it is safe without any fear of aspiration. Disadvantages: obviously you require an invasive line and you are prone to your bloodstream infections and catheter related sepsis. There is lot of hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia which can occur. Dyselectrolytemias can occur. Hypercholesteremia and can occur in lipid based emulsions. There is always a risk of volume overload, especially in cardiac and renal failure patients. So what are the guidelines which guide us for these parenteral nutrition? First, when do you start parenteral nutrition? So like enteral nutrition, as soon as possible or within 24 to 48 hours of your admission into the ICU, you are supposed to start your enteral nutrition. Similar thing, initiate parenteral nutrition again as early as possible if you are anticipating that this particular patient requires a bowel rest for 7 days and is unable to meet your 2/3 of the energy requirements by your enteral route. And what is the ideal prescription for parenteral nutrition? Again the same as per your Harris-Benedict's formula, 25 kilocalorie per kg body weight has to be met. With it, 2 gram per kg of dextrose has to be instilled inside your parenteral nutrition because there are high chances of getting an hypoglycemia. There should be minimum of 1.5 gram per kg of amino acids with glutamine, and the remaining can be contributed with your lipid emulsions. But make sure that you give on the whole a total of at least 1.5 to 2 liters of your parenteral nutrition. No role of giving a total parenteral nutrition which is only about 800 ml, which might not be able to achieve your caloric requirements, which might not be able to give you the fight response against your hypercatabolic state or hyperinflammatory state. In fact, this can increase your insulin resistance and can result in hyperglycemia and can further deteriorate your infection control in that particular patient. So make sure that whatever parenteral nutrition you are instilling on a patient, it should consider a minimum volume of 1.5 to 2 liters and achieve your nutritional prescription. How do you monitor parenteral nutrition? Definitely the glycemic control has to be monitored, your sugars has to be monitored, strict sugar control as per the NICE guidelines of 110 to 180. Monitor your labs, especially your electrolytes daily, or I would even prefer in the initial phase of your parenteral nutrition, monitor it twice daily, especially your potassium, phosphate, magnesium, calcium and sodium. Make sure that your parenteral nutrition is having standard doses of micronutrients, vitamins and other immunonutrients, and make sure that maintain osmolality of 1 milliosmol per ml. So every ml should have maximum 1 to 1.5 milliosmoles per ml, because these parenteral nutritions are sometimes hypertonic and there is a risk of phlebitis. So calculate whether it's a hyperosmolar solution or hypoosmolar solution, hypo to isoosmolar solution. So if you think it's a hypertonic solution, it is better to instill in a bigger vein or in a central venous line. If you think it's a peripheral parenteral nutrition and the osmolality of per ml is almost equal to 1 or less than 1, you can start them on a bigger dedicated separate line which is not getting mixed with any other line. Because these parenteral nutritions have a expiry of 24 hours. So if you try to mix the line with something else, then every time the sister removes it, no, this is the time for antibiotic. So if she keeps on giving gaps, you end up in providing that parenteral bag for more than 24 hours or beyond its expiry date, which can be harmful, resulting in form of lipid emulsions or cholesterol crystals inside the vein or cholesterol emboli inside your bloodstreams. Okay. Okay. So be careful, make sure that the point you start, the next day it has to end at that point, and so calculate the ml per hour, the infusion rates with which the patient should receive for that particular parenteral bag.